friends online. Thank you for joining us. So I had a conversion last night. I converted from a Cleveland Browns fan to a Seattle Seahawks. It was quite sudden. Not very spiritual. So was happy about that. If you follow that type of thing, if you don't follow that type of thing, I don't mean to alienate you or talk about some things that you're not into, and I would encourage you not to get into it. But I enjoyed watching that yesterday. We'll see what happens. I know that they're saying every time there's a new pope, the Seattle Seahawks tend to win the Super Bowl. But let's see what the Chicago Bears do today, and let's see how that complicates matters. You know, what do you do? We have a pope there from Chicago, and we'll see what happens. Great to see you all, friends. Good to be here in the meeting, and may we have a sense of the presence here. I found this opening prayer. I thought we could read and have a sense of what's before us, being present in the moment. I'm going to be talking a little bit, well, quite a bit, about our trip to Paris, and I was taken aback by, to be an artist, you have to be very present in the moment, in the now. And I was taken aback by that as I was looking at sculptures, at paintings, how present these individuals were to the moment in order to capture it and to translate it onto, a canvas or into marble, or many of the other mediums. And this prayer is about being present in the moment and noticing the light and being aware and present to the light. It reads, "As the light of dawn awakens earth's creatures and stirs into song the birds of the morning, so may we be brought to life this day, rising to see the light, to hear the wind, to smell the fragrance of what grows from the ground, to taste its fruit and touch its textures. So may my inner senses be awakened to you. So may my senses be awakened to you, O God." And the accompanying scripture that went with that is from the Gospel of John, where Jesus said, "I am the bread of life." Let's take a moment to recenter and let ourselves catch up to the present moment. O Creator, truly you are in the present moment. Truly you are in every person we see and greet and meet here. Truly are you in the light that shines without and the light that shines within our hearts today. We are grateful and we receive you with joy. Amen.
One more step along the world I go. One more step along the world I go. From the old things to the new.
Our first reading for today is a quote from Vincent van Gogh. "It is good to love many things, for therein lies the true strength, and whoever loves much performs much and can accomplish much, and what is done in love is well done." Second is a quote from Claude Monet. "Every day I discover more and more beautiful things. It's enough to drive one mad. I have such a desire to do everything, my head is bursting with it." Finally, Philippians 4:8. "Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is pleasing, whatever is commendable, if there is any excellence, and if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things."
Thank you, music team, for these songs of faith and centering. And thank you, Arthur, for reading those quotes from the artists. We need help from the artists today, don't we? We need to turn to the artists to remind us of our humanity, to remind us of our souls, to remind us of beauty, to remind us of the truth. So this message really has two parts. There's going to be kind of a gear, kind of a transmission, in this message. First, it's a reflection. I want to kind of offer a reflection about the arts. And then second will be a time of sharing of some paintings that we saw when we were in Paris last week. I had to narrow it down. There were a whole lot more, and as I was dropping them into my PowerPoint, I'm thinking, this is getting out of control. Okay, I gotta rein it in, narrow it down, or as Megan says, land the plane, Mark. So stop circling. So a little reflection on the arts, their part, and how they move us. But then I'm going to talk a little bit and share a little bit about what we saw. And this is just kind of you see cool things, and then you just want to show your friends, hey, this is what I saw. I finally got to see this thing. I've seen prints of it all for years. And to see the actual thing, the brush strokes, the texture, the smell, the scent that was in the room, everything. I want to share a little bit about that. And there's a mystery that we will be encountering, and it will be up to you to interpret there before the end. But the arts and Quakers, let's talk a little bit about that first. In the past, Quakers have been a little hesitant in the past, sometimes, and even cautious about what was perceived as maybe ostentatious in the arts. There's too much outward. It's too loud. The volume is too high. You need to turn it down and kind of taper down through simplicity. So oftentimes when you go into unprogrammed Quaker meeting houses, there's not really art on the wall. It's very plain. It's very kind of stripped down and simple, because they would say all of the beauty is inside. That's the source. That's what you need to be paying attention to. Everything else on the outside, that's a distraction. That's a distraction from the truth of what's inward. Reedwood here, myself, we take a little bit more moderated approach there. It's not an either or, it's a both and situation. And yet, in my experience, beauty has a way of leading us towards attentiveness, rather than attentiveness to the divine, rather than leading me away from it. For example, perhaps even this morning, just a few minutes ago, listening to one of Shirley's performances on the piano can calm our racing and anxious thoughts. I don't know about you, but that's what it does for me when I hear Shirley play her music, these songs. Or perhaps a poem you read this week names what you have not yet dared yet to say, but a poem said it. And you can say, there it is. There's the beauty of life breaking through and breaking in. Or perhaps a painting you see in an art museum, or even from a street vendor, evokes a sense of compassion and a heightened awareness of the miracle that is your life. Your life is a miracle. The fact that you are and that you are, the fact that you are and not that you are not. You are a miracle. And to have a heightened awareness of that miraculous gift is such a gift. It's a portal into the mind of mystery and awe. These examples of how we are touched by the arts and often do prepare the heart for worship. And just as much as communal silence can center us on listening to the Spirit, the arts are certainly portals of revelation, as they certainly help us notice the divine image placed upon everything we interact with. The divine image is not only upon human beings, but there is that divine image upon everything. It's everywhere. Also, creativity is not only something that artists do. Now, don't start thinking of, well, creativity in the arts, that's what artists do. I'm not that. We're something else. I don't create. I'm not an artist. And it's easy to slip into that mindset, isn't it? At least it is for me. But it is a gift woven into the fabric of creation itself to be an artist. Each one of us is born with the capacity for the arts, much like what Pablo Picasso once said in a Time magazine interview in the 1960s. Picasso said, "Every child is an artist." That's what you begin with. Every child is an artist. The problem is how to remain an artist once he or she grows up. Also wrongly attributed to Picasso is the saying, "The artist is the child that survived." When we shape words, when we shape sounds, colors, or movements, we are participating, however humbly, in God's gift of creativity and creation. The arts remind us that revelation is not confined to our past or in one singular source, but that God is still speaking, and sometimes that speech comes not as a clear sentence, but as a gesture, as a melody, or an image that lingers in our hearts and minds. Beauty, then, I would say, has a moral weight. There's a moral weight to beauty. It can soften us. Maybe because I was like out of my element or away, but I remember that's true. Whenever I was encountering some of the paintings that I saw, or when we were in Notre Dame and I heard the music from the organ being played, I had a visceral reaction that was unexpected. I was at first maybe even embarrassed about it, like, oh man, I'm getting emotional. And I'm like, why am I being embarrassed? No one knows who I am. But I was moved. My heart was tendered from beholding beauty. There's a moral weight to beauty. It softens us and tends to make us more receptive to truth. When we encounter something beautiful, we often feel delight or longing, and even a keen sense of hope when we encounter and behold the beautiful. Because it can evoke a sense that the world is more than it appears, that it is meant for a day and era when things are healed and made whole. Beauty even has that eschatological hope that rides along with it, that the world is meant to be more. It has more and is full of promise. This longing can open us to the suffering of others. That's what it can do. For beauty teaches us to pay attention. And attention, as friends have long known, is the beginning of love. Attention is the beginning of our communion with Christ. And attention is also the beginning of faithful action. It's about paying attention. Attention. It is this point that Simone Weil makes in her classic book, Waiting for God, when she wrote these words: attention, taken to its highest degree, is the same thing as prayer. Weil writes, it presupposes faith and love. Absolute, unmixed attention is prayer. Simone Weil. So, in our world that is so noisy and fragmented and easily distracted and often brutal, the arts can serve as both a refuge and an act of quiet resistance even. To create, to linger with beauty is to defy the thought that we are merely consumers, that we are merely faceless and nameless statistics. It challenges that. Beauty challenges that. It challenges that the thought that we are mere problems to be solved. In the arts, there is the affirmation that there is that of God, not only in every person, but this is witnessed through our imaginations, our stories, and our collective creativity. Be artists. Be what you are. Be what you were born to be, and to be artists. When we behold, then, and honor creativity, we honor the divine image expressed through human hands and through our voices. That's part one. As we turn our attention to viewing some pictures that I have selected for us to look at, let us consider how we can make room for a creative expression as a form of ministry. How does creativity and ministry kind of dovetail there together? How might the arts help us listen more deeply to one another and to God? How does this prompt as a type of query itself? And how might the celebration of beauty and creativity lead us outward, strengthening our witness to peace and justice and unto the care for our planet Earth, our precious planet? How can the arts supply, help prompt us and equip us to do these things? So I wanted to kind of move into these reflections here. Like I said, I put together this PowerPoint, and the first image that we're going to see here, and Bert, I'm going to have to just kind of work with you, was from the Musée d'Orsay, and there are five, in this museum, there are 5 floors. It used to be a train station, and then it was converted into a museum relatively recently. And so when we got there, we saw what paintings were there, and we said, well, we want to see the Van Goghs. Where are those at? Where's the good stuff? So and they were on the 5th floor. So when we got there, we just started taking stairs up. And we got to the 5th floor, and as we were walking, we kind of saw, like, following the signs of where we were supposed to go. And we entered a room, and there's kind of all this kind of bustle of people, and I turned this corner to the left, and I saw this this image here first. Ah, yes. I've seen this just so many times in print, and stationery and screensavers, but to see it was I talked about that visceral kind of response. I get flustered in my words to begin with, but I didn't really have a whole lot of words. I just needed to see it and sink into it here, the siesta. And Van Gogh, when he was in a mental health institution, he gained a lot of inspiration from black and white prints that he had access to. And they said that this image here was from an inspiration from a print of another artist that he had admired. So I was like, oh, that's really interesting. I didn't know that. So Van Gogh's The Siesta, 1889. And you'll notice that the late 80s there for Van Gogh was a prolific time for his art and for his creative process. Go ahead and do the next one. And this would be in the same room. And this is the bedroom in Arliss. And just, poppy colors, bright colors. And everyone was kind of swarming around these paintings. And I had to kind of take your turn. You're kind of working your way, snap a picture, and then you kind of put the phone down. And then you need to let it sink in with your own eyes. And this was just another one of his famous paintings. They're all in one room. They were just surrounding the walls there. Go ahead to the next one. And then this was, I'm not going to try to pronounce that in the French, but this is A Starry Night. And this probably had the most kind of cluster of people looking at it and kind of seeing the thickness of and texture of the paint that he used there into this. And I was reminded, I was kind of chuckling to myself that this was his most popular one in that room at that time and in that moment. And so before I did this, I took a step back and go ahead and do into the next picture. I took a step back and I snapped a picture of the people kind of clustering around it because it reminded me, the picture on the right was from 2021 when we went to New York City, and there's that Starry Night that everyone was clustering around. So the Starry Night picture paintings are just so popular, and the same thing was kind of happening there between the two. The Starry Night, the one that's a little bit more popular, I see it printed kind of on everything and everywhere. I have a guitar pick with a Starry Night on it. That's in New York City. The other one was a couple weeks ago in Paris. They're both called A Starry Night, but that was kind of this, during this time when Van Gogh was in a mental health institution, and he was kind of obsessed with getting that painting of the night. And the one on the right, the one that's in New York City, was done a couple of months after the one on the left, and so it's a little bit more dramatic, and art historians would say it's representative of a little bit more fractured mindset. So it's a lot more dramatic, and yeah. So I don't need to say too many more words about that. I just love the juxtaposition of the two pictures separated by years, separated by an ocean, and yet there they are. There they are. Go ahead to the next one there. So, I saw that here's another comparison. One is from Los Angeles, and then the other one was there in Paris. And this is not Van Gogh, this is Monet, and he painted the portraits of the Rouen Cathedral. a number of them. So I was delighted to see the one that I saw in Los Angeles, and I actually shared in the Intro to Quakerism class on one of the sessions. I saw it again there in Paris, where he had done that painting again. But it's not only was there just a doublet of it. Go ahead to the next. There were many of them. So Monet had painted this same painting over and over and over again. And he was obsessed with this cathedral and the way that the light hit the cathedral. And he was just kind of obsessed with this. So there was an entire wall of Monet's of the Cathedral of Rouen. Go ahead to the next one. And it's kind of stepping back. So the Monets were on that 5th floor. They were in like the next room. So that first room was Van Gogh, and here's his self-portrait there. And I had a quote from Van Gogh about his self-portrait. Sometimes we see this and they say, oh, well, even the artist took selfies. I think it was a little deeper than that. It said, Vincent van Gogh often used himself as a model. He produced over 43 self-portraits. Paintings are drawn and drawings in over 10 years. And like the old masters, he observed himself critically in a mirror. Painting oneself is not an innocuous act. It is a questioning that often leads to an identity crisis. Thus, he wrote to his sister, this is Van Gogh, I am looking for a deeper likeness than that obtained by a photographer. And later, Van Gogh wrote to his brother, quote, people say, and I am willing to believe it, that it is hard to know yourself, but it is not easy to paint yourself either. I don't know about you, but I've never painted myself. This might be a profound exercise of contemplation, painting yourself, looking deeply into the mirror and seeing who you are. Go ahead to the next one. Thanks, Bert. This is Monet. This is another museum, Museum La Orangerie, and here was this massive. This is one of 8 concave paintings of simply titled Water Lilies, and it took him over 9 years to paint all of these. Paint not just this one, but the other 7 as well. And these are housed, maybe some of you have been here before. They're housed in elliptical sized rooms that are set side by side, separated by a little hallway. I didn't know there were 2. And both of these rooms represent morning and evening in for his Water Lilies paintings. So this is morning, and we loved just like that splash of color there that Monet painted. Go ahead to the next one. And this is evening. So this is in the next room on the other far end of the oval room. And again, this is concave painting. And I really had to take these pictures very quickly because as soon as no one was there, someone would kind of step into the frame. So the room was full of people looking at their phones. I had to remind myself, like, get off my phone, because everyone was sitting in the middle just looking at their phones. I'm like, you have Claude Monet in front of you. And so I, snapped this picture here of the far wall of Water Lilies. Go ahead to the next one. Then there was this woman that I was traveling with, and I thought, well, that's a good picture of her. And you can see how the paintings continue to wrap around the ellipsis-shaped room. And there's Megan appreciating that, one of the Water Lilies. And this would be in the room for the morning. You see kind of off to her right, there's that splash of yellow in that. Now I think we're going to be getting into our little mystery here. Go ahead into the next one. Oh, no, I have one more. This is the opposite side. So again, these are probably, 30 feet, long. And these were installed, this was initially installed in the 1920s and is just housed in this museum. Yeah, go ahead. Okay, is Monet's hidden portrait in his water lily. So I went up to one of the attendants. I know how to greet and I know how to depart in French. That's about it. The attendant did not speak English. But I was asking what year was this installed, and then he said, "Have you seen the face?" I said, "No." He said, come here. And he walked me over and he said, "You see it?" And I said, "Kinda, yeah." So I'm wondering if maybe you see there's kind of a feature there of Monet's face. I did a little just Google research. There isn't anything official, and it's the power of suggestion, most likely. But, you do see kind of a likeness. And go ahead into the next one. So what do you think? There he is. You have the big beard. And it does kind of look like him. But I was glad I talked to that person, because I wouldn't have known it. I wouldn't have caught it. But I'll let you decide for yourself and discern for yourself. What do you think? Is Monet in there? Yeah. Oh. After that, we had the opportunity to meet with Esmat, our dear friend that we are supporting there, who is going to the American University in Paris. So we went to that museum, and then we connected with Esmat and had a lovely dinner. Esmat is so grateful for Reedwood's support. He is just a light of a person. We had just a lovely time getting to know him. He was very interested in how Reedwood is doing and our part in that. And we just had this wonderful, lovely conversation over dinner. And what a gift to meet with him and to break bread together. And he sends his love and his he sends his heart. He sent his heart to us to say thank you, and that's a face I can see clearly. And just being in Esmat's presence, getting to know him, and just the unspokenness. It's one thing to you speak. The communication is very kind of nice and pleasantries and that sort of thing, but just the communication of being in the presence of someone was so powerful. And that was just literally, we arranged it so it was just a walk down the street from us, from where we are. And Esmat sends his love and greetings here to Reedwood. And then we had lunch, we had a nice dinner, and then he was off. He said, "I got to go lead a orientation thing for his school." And I said, "I'm sorry, it's 7 o'clock at night and you got to go to work?" And he's like, "Well, I got to do it." I said, "Okay, have a good one." Gave him a big hug and sent him off. So we're supporting just a lovely, beautiful person. And then I think one more. And that's Rodin's Thinker that he made there. And I thought that would be a good one for our queries In this time of frustration, distraction, uncertainty, even social unrest, how might beauty, creativity, and relationships inspire us to behold God more in life and in our lives? Where are these portals of inspiration and revelation? How can these be points that we turn to week after week, day after day? And how might the arts help us listen more deeply to one another and to God? There is no doubt, as we saw these paintings and sculptures and stuff, there's an act of devotion happening, an interaction with both the artist and the creator, and there's an interplay happening. How might we integrate that, adopt that, or rediscover that, or return or continue in that in our own lives? That's what I wanted to move into for our queries for open worship. This was a little bit of a long message, I understand, but I hope that we can kind of move into the heart of it, into the heart of these things. So as we go into a time of this time of open worship and silence, if you feel moved of spirit to speak, Suzanne has a microphone. Friends online, make sure you're unmuted, that we may hear what you have to say if you are moved of spirit to speak. Let us center down, dear friends.